And I was coming up, I was like, that'd be cool to do, have that positive impact on somebody's life.
Okay. Have you ever dealt with children before? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me about your experience with children.
Oh, man, I've been a substitute for over 10 or 11 years for Clay, Duval, Orange, Putnam County, so I've substituted all over.
Okay.
I had a substitute class yesterday.
Got it. Okay. In all schools that you've subbed in, the use of the curriculum, have had experience using the ELA and that. And tell me something about your experience with that as far as delivering lessons. What does a lesson look like for you?
Well, so you ain't gonna see. I can tell you what you won't see. You won't see me sitting at a desk,
okay,
right? You'll see me constantly traveling in the classroom. I'm looking for 100% engagement, with the children. So I can make this real clear for you. Yesterday, when I was a substitute teacher,
okay,
they had a 3-digit subtraction problem. Right, that was a problem of the day. They had to do it, and her lesson plans right here said students complete problem of the day in a math book. Problems written on the whiteboard. Students copy on paper and solve. Teacher walks around and checks for accuracy. I said, that's fine, but in my experience as a substitute teacher, I really want to be in the whole class format and want to teach that to them. And then, it's gradual release. I do, we do, you do, right? So before I kind of let them by themselves and do the problem, I did an example for other problem. I really walked through it. I went from place value, went from carrying and borrowing and checking your work. That's a big part of my teaching philosophy. I tell them, I try to tell the students, I try to communicate this very clearly. You probably have never met a teacher like me because I'm not a teacher, I'm a professor. I tell them that. I say, I'm Professor Swill, and that's how I like them to address me. And because I believe in checking your work, they want, especially elementary kids, they quick want to get done, I'm finished. Did you check your work? So they was doing a subtraction problem. A lot of them, 90% of them got the problem correct. But I asked them, how you check your work? I asked them that, and a couple of them raised their hand. They said, well, you can do exactly what you did and make sure you arrive at the same answer. But what I was looking for is for them to take the difference, add it to the bottom, and see if you get the top number. That's really what I wanted to do. So that's a big part of my teaching philosophy. I preach that. Check, double check, triple check. And they like, well, what do you want to do? If you got free time on these standardized assessments, I use that phrase. What's a standardized assessment? It's a big test. If you got extra time on it, you need to go back and check it. Because let's say, let's make it relevant to them. Their cell phones, they love cell phone technology. What if when they were making that cell phone, what if they checked it one time? You won't have a good product, right? So you want to check, double check, triple check. That's a big part of that. So what you will see when we deliver a lesson, we use differentiated instruction. I'm gonna start with the whole class instruction. I'm at the front. Lecturing to the entire class. Then you might see, once I do that and teach that to them, then you're going to see me put them in groups. And I might encourage discourse with them. Talking in groups of 4 initially. And I'm going around and seeing how can I adjust their thinking, how can I explain what they're saying. And then also I might break them down into groups of 2. Where they're talking to a shoulder party. So talking to a shoulder party is research based on talk strategy. That you want to encourage that discourse. So I wrote extensively about Vygotsky, social-cultural theory of development. You're not going to learn nothing with a teacher up there talking. Give them a chance to explain what they're thinking, right? So to make sure they're actually learning.
Okay. Translate that to kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Right. Okay, I can translate that for kindergarten. So, let's say that was 3rd grade, 2nd grade had that, 1st grade. So maybe they are one of the standards. I went to cpalms.org this morning, what the academic standards are. I think one of the standards, I can't remember verbatim, but it stated that when you're giving them a math problem, I looked to the math standards. I went to the first math standard. I think it says something. They basically want them to act out elements of growth mindset, right? Which is perseverance on difficult. So I might give them, I may ask them, can they count from 1 to 100, right? And when they're counting from 1 to 100, I may stop them at, they might just be saying 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. I might stop them at 21, right? So they might just be repeating. I might say, okay, skip 5, and then continue on. So they stop at 21. I want to say, in their mind, 22. Start back at 26, because I just don't want them to regurgitate or repeat what I'm saying. I'm trying to really get at, do they really understand how to count versus just it's like automaticity. I really want to know if they actually learn that concept versus just memorize it, right? So with kindergartners, I'm used to working. I can work with a diverse set of students. Like I said yesterday, I had a third grade class. Right, those are fairly small ones. But when you're talking about kindergartners, you're talking about really small, right? Because I've had research that told me the first 6 months, like in their minds, they almost still think they're pre-K. So you really have to get on their level. You have to really have to talk to them because out of sight is out of mind for them. So you have to really get in their personal space. And like for instance, so data driven decision making. Yesterday, when I let them alone for them to do the math problem on their own, like about I want to say about 60% of in the afternoon. I know third graders in the afternoon, a lot of elementary kids, their attention span is just gone after lunch, and so they got a first year teacher in there. I can gauge all that. I can tell when I go in the classroom, based off how the students are performing, I can tell the level of experience of the permanent teacher, how much support they're getting from administration, all that, right? So yesterday, all the third grade teachers had substitutes, right? It took them something that should have took them on her sub plan, something that should have took them, I think, like 30 minutes. It took them an hour, right? So yeah, they went from lunch from 12:10 to 12:40, recess to 12:40 to 1, right? We didn't get back in the classroom, so they was out of the classroom from 12:10 all the way to 1:30. So their science block is from their last science and math lesson is an hour and 32 minutes. They only had like an hour left because they took so long transitioning from lunch. Right after lunch, they went to recess. Right after recess, they went to use the restroom. They took forever in the restroom, but I was just sitting back because the other substitute teacher I think she was a permanent sub with play counting. So I just kind of like sat back. But you really want to make sure when they're transitioning, you want to build those procedures, right? You want to build those procedures and practice them to make sure you establish their routine. Because that's one of the key parts of classroom management. If you don't establish them routines and procedures early on in the year and really practice them, that's going to be very hard for you to teach.
So stay right there. What's your classroom management plan?
Well, I try to make sure I've written research on classroom management plan. I'm going to turn this into a book, right? So 3 parts of my classroom management plan. I use authoritative discipline style, structure-based play in groups, and culturally responsive behavior management techniques. I submitted my research that I did in graduate school to academic journal by the name of Intervention in Clinic. So, because a lot of time with first-year teachers, I'm fairly new, relatively speaking. Classroom management is one of the most difficult things, especially with Title I school. School is in urban districts. So I just believe in being authoritative. You're going to tell by my tone and even my dress. So small things matter. Small things matter with children. I'm talking about how you walk, how you dress, and your tone. You can't go in there playing with them children, especially not initially. They have to know that you care, but they also have to know that you're serious about what you're talking about. So here's mine, right? I understand what the administrators are saying and the researchers and the professors. We want to build a positive learning, and this is my verbiage, even when I'm talking to them. Maybe not more so with kindergartners. I might have to adjust this with kindergartners, but third grade, here's my verbiage. We do want to establish a positive learning environment, right? Which means I want to reward you, right? I do want to give you candy. I want to give you good grades. I want to be able to tell your parents you're doing well. Additionally, if you fail to meet that mandate, we might have to put you on silent lunch, take away recess time. During that time, you might have a conference. How can I help you do what you need to do in class? Do you get uncomfortable for me yelling at you? Because a lot of them don't have male role models. So I learned that even me, when I'm explaining something, my grandma, my brother taught me this. It's been like this for a long time. When I'm explaining something, I can come across very aggressive. You don't really want to come across aggressive. You want to communicate that you care, but you also want to communicate and let them know you're there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to give up on you. And I have high expectations for you. If you think, and this is my verbiage, I'm talking to them. I'm not the teacher. If you're going through in your mind, you're talking about who's a nice teacher, who's a mean teacher, I'm not going to be that teacher, and I want to correct that. I'm not a teacher, I'm a professor, right? I say that often. But I'm not going to be that person who lets you slide. I'm not going to be that person, that teach that, let you slide, let you get away with that. I'm going to hold you accountable because I have high expectations for you. Because it's my mandate, it's my purpose. The reason why I get out of there is not to earn no check. I can earn the check in business. In corporate America, I can get a better job paying a lot more. It's not about that. It's about having a positive impact on these children, especially a particular demographic that has been traditionally underserved. I work at a kitchen at DJJ. 90% of the prisoners are black boys. You know what I mean? I have a special place in my heart for young black boys. I can educate any student, right? But it's a special place in my heart for young black males who were raised by single moms who really can't. They love their sons, they love their daughters, they love their sons. I want to go back. I have to be very careful when I'm interacting with parents because I'm not trying to replace you, but I try to get them. So I'm going to digress really quick. So in my life, people said, when I tell people about education, they're like, why you want to be a teacher? And I said, let me correct you. Teaching chose me way before I chose it. Because of the unique experiences I had in my home life, the experience that I had with the education system, it chose me. I had people when I was working. I used to be a supervisor at McDonald's. I had people come through. I used that. I apologize. I had people come through drive-through and say, "Is this going to be a long-term job for you?" Because I see us being an educator. That happened on two different occasions. And I wasn't even thinking about education, but after that happened, I wanted to study business. I went back to school and decided to study education. So it kind of really chose me. And then I started looking back at my life. I looked back at my home life and how I had a single-parent home. My dad was there, but quite honestly, he was a functional addict. He would, if the state would have